Right, everybody, we're back at Midwest Moto. I think Graham's just arrived in a van, so you may feature in the video, unbeknownst to him. But, hello.
What's your problem?
Many things is my problem. Do you want me to move?
No, I can go there, but...
Yeah. Right, so we just arrived at Midwest. That's Graham in the van. I'm just going to go and walk around some of the bikes, just show you out the front, because obviously this is part of the reason I come up here. So I'll just get this little phone here and I'll start filming so you can see. So here, first of all, we've got this 23 plate Meteor 350. That's currently for sale. If you look how clean it is, I mean, look at the engine and everything. Up here, it's just immaculate. Look at the paintwork, there's not a mark on it. And it's one of the ones that has the tripper. There you got the nice switch gear. I mean, look, it's next to an Indian Scout. It doesn't actually look that much more of a lower entry point bike compared to its much more premium offering from Indian there. It's amazing little thing. Also got a classic over here, classic 350. Little extras there with the engine bars. That's obviously the very retro looking nacelle on the engine with the peak. Very, very retro. Oh, it's got Hagons at the back there as well. So if you are interested in a little classic, I think this one's probably for sale, but reach out to Midwest. This is the bike I'm interested in today, CFMOTO 650. And I'll talk about it a bit more later on, but obviously that offset rear shock and the engine. The design's elements borrowed from Kawasaki. Then some other cool stuff. This is I've actually ridden this before. Brembos on the front, Stylemas. That's the 700cc version of the engine. I think if you look down there, it says, yeah, 693ccs. And then the naked version of that one. And then obviously the new fancy one, the NK over there, which uses the KTM engine. And then more for the Royal Enfield fans amongst you, here's the Hemi, which is also on demo. Super Meteor, which I haven't ridden yet, much to my fault, need to ride. This is quite interesting. Little CFMOTO 450cc cruiser. And then that I think is also the 400cc naked from CF. And there's inside the dealership, BSA, retro bikes there, trike, so on and so forth. So today, if they'll let me, I'm going to have a little look at the 650 MT. Right, we're out back, got the 650 MT behind me. It's blowing a gale here, shooting on the old Voigtlander again, but I've stopped down now to F9, F8, so hopefully you'll see me and I'm in focus, and so is the bike. Obviously these little Voigtlanders, they're quite soft, wide open, but as you stop them down, close the aperture, hopefully it's looking quite sharp and punchy, but who knows, we'll have a look at when we edit this video. Maybe I'm in focus, maybe I'm not. Right, 650 MT, basically it's a Kawasaki 650 engine. CFMOTO have redesigned the engine, 6-speed box. You can see as well the offset rear shock and the underslung exhaust, which gives links to its ER6 heritage. We can say nothing else about this bike other than it's a 650 6-speed with fully adjustable suspension, and it's I was going to say £6 grand. It's not even £6 grand. It's £4.5 grand. We could also say there's not many of these left. It's the last of the last, because the 700 MT is the incoming model, the 650 MT is the outgoing. So KTM have done a deal and a half of KTM. Yeah, KTM distribute CFMOTO, don't they? Yeah, CF KTM / I've done a heck of a deal at 4.5. Interestingly, the NK, which is like the ER6N, the naked version, that's 4. It's 3,999 for the same platform. But I think the fully fared road adventure bike probably gives you a little bit more flexibility than just a straight up naked bike. There's also a GT, which I don't really know much about the GT, but that's same price as this, that's 4.5. You've got 17 on the front and the rear, so it's very road biased. Pirelli's on there, GT, Angel, probably. I haven't looked up close. You've got the fully adjustable forks in kind of an old gold, and then you've got this quite nice windscreen that you've got a lever that you undo the knobs and you can move it up and down. So overall, quite a nice package. Now unfortunately Suze isn't here today, she's not feeling great, otherwise she would have come up, because we need to do some pillion stuff with Suze really. and this would have been ideal for it, but just going to do the rider's perspective today. I'll take the bike out, have a little bit of a spin round and just see what it's like. So if you are interested in one of these 650 MT, you're kind of going to have to jump on it really. They have got one here in Midwest, which I'll deliver it wherever you want. You could even come here and ride it, they're letting me ride it. So if you do buy this bike, then it's going to have another 20 or 30 miles on it because of me, so sorry about that. Or you can always buy the 700 MT like Bob did, Bob from Bali, which we were trying to decide whether that's the KTM derived motor or it's the Kawasaki 650 parallel twin that they've increased the capacity. Got crash protection built in, which is kind of nice, and the bar risers obviously are a nice touch, because if you're like me and you've got little T-Rex arms, then having reached the bars, you end up pulling your back and you're constantly like this. So I will always fit bar risers on my bikes, and if you look at that, it's already got a significant rise to the bars and quite a sweep on the bars as well. So it's all looking good. It's all looking good. White, can't take it or leave it on the white. I'm not mad on it. I think they do it in the blue as well. So if there was a downside to it, I would say there's probably the colours. That said, on the Vosges, here's an interesting thing as well. The Vosges, let me tell you about this. The Vosges was 5,600. Just work your head around that a sec. That was a 22 plate bike, 5,600, and it was a 471cc parallel twin 6-speed with a not as nice TFT. So that was 5.6 for a 471. This is 4.5, 4.5 for a 650 6-speed. So the money is absolutely crazy. But yeah, as I was saying, the colours are a little bit off, but like the Vosges, you can buy sticker packs for it. So I mean, it sounds kind of corny, doesn't it, a sticker pack for a bike, but if you go on AliExpress, they'll literally ship you an entire set of stickers to recolor your bike, and it's model specific. So you'll be able to change it to red, black, gold, whatever the hell you want from AliExpress. So there you go. They probably actually do it in the dealership. If you condition on the bike sale, you could probably recolor it. Almost like a wrap. But anyway, side note. Let's go and have a look in the bike in more detail. Right, let's do our now famous close-up look at the bike. We did it on the shotgun, we're doing it again here. First thing that's immediately obvious when you get up close to the 650 MT is the extremely rugged crash protection. I mean, on the Vosges, I'm kind of going back to that bike because that was my Chinese manufactured adventure bike. The crash protection was all right and it looked the part, but you had like a kind of inkling that if you drop that, would it just crumple? It was also bolted together, those bars, whereas these are welded. So I think that's really robust. Like, you could almost pick the bike up for it. I mean, imagine you wanted to work on the bike, you could probably put a strap around here, strap around there with a crane, and you could lift up by this. It's so strong. So that's a nice feature. It's included as well, so I mean, why not have it? Coming back here, we've also got some strong steel tubing here at the back, which either is to allow soft luggage to go over the top there and it will hold it, or it's to strap things to. Whatever it's for, it's just really nice to have. And obviously the pillion grab handles there are also quite substantial, but I do like this bit. I think that's one of the advantages of the bike. Some other things which I noticed, you've got an oil sight window there. It sounds silly, but the BSA doesn't have one. You've got to let's try that again. You've got to check the dip stick, whereas you don't have to do that here. You can just look in the little window. Talking of the oil filter, it's kind of accessible. The exhaust headers do wrap around it a little bit, which is not as nice as the shotgun, but you could still get on there as a home mechanic, so it is quite handy. Similarly, you've got a water pump here, which is quite accessible. So it's like little things like that that are going to make it a lot easier to service as you go into ownership of this bike, and it's not just the demo ride, you know, how does it ride. Talking of the ride, we have got the fully adjustable forks, which is kind of cool for a bike of 4,500. They are old gold, kind of trendy to have gold upside down forks. They appear on everything. You're kind of allowed because it's an adventure bike. Oh, here's a cool thing. There's a wire throttle, as in a cable, a wire cable. That just didn't make any sense at all. It's not ride by wire, it's ride by cable. So that might actually give you a smooth, we'll find out when we ride it, but that might give you a smoother throttle compared to the kind of jerky ride by wire, as in electrical wire. What else to note? Big single seat. I don't know if I like that or dislike it really. I kind of prefer having 2 seats, which is more faff, but I kind of like the fact there's 2 separate seats. Maybe that's just me. These little winglets here, you can bolt them on or off. You could probably take them off, make the bike look a little bit cleaner. I think they might add a bit of clutter. Is that just me? Let me know what you think. The screen, which I've just been fiddling with, can probably move about 10 or 15 centimeters. Will we get buffeting? Now, I haven't ridden a bike with a screen for ages, deliberately because I hate getting my buffeting and turbulence in my face. Let's see. If we do get buffeting, then, you know, that's a deal breaker really for me. I'm 5'11". I keep saying 5'11". I think I was 5'11". I probably shrunk at 5'10". And I got a 30-inch inside leg, and for whatever reason I get buffeting on pretty much every bike with a screen, so that's a bit of a pain, but I have got some flexibility there, so let's see what happens. Brakes up here, we got probably dual 300mm discs. They're J. Yuan brakes. Are they good? I don't know. You don't really need that good braking or exceptional braking with a bike with 63 horsepower. How are you going to ride this bike? You're probably going to take it on tour, ride around the UK, ride it out over to Europe, or enjoy it. You could even use it as a commuter bike. You could use it for anything. But overall, probably missed a few bits and bobs. We'll talk about the rider's view and stuff on the test ride. But overall, it's just a nice kind of functional bike. It's not like I've just seen Graham's Ducati. It's nowhere near Ducati levels of refinement, the materials and the finish. It's just functional and I think well made. And I like the fact it's £4.5 grand. So whatever, as long as it didn't like pour oil all over the floor and the bike starts, I'm going to be happy with it because it's £4.5 grand. I'm a price sensitive YouTuber. Going to admit that straight away. Right, what else have I got to say about it? Oh, let me get on. Actually, let me get on because that's going to actually be useful to people. So, let me show you, before I got on then, I'm going to show you the cowboy style of getting on an adventure bike. This is the cowboy style, right? So you hold that, put your foot on here, lean with your body to this bar, and then transfer your weight across. That actually makes getting on and off the bike look pretty easy. If you do it the other way, which is try and swing your leg over, you look a bit silly. So I've learned over the years to get on the cowboy style. Now you can use cowboy to get on this side or that side, but just make sure obviously your weight's transferred across with your upper body before you swing your leg over. Right, so here I am, I'm on the bike. I can just about flat foot. I'm 5'10" with a 30-inch inside leg. It's not a comfortable flat foot, and if I took this bike off-road or anywhere with uneven terrain, I wouldn't be that comfortable, but it's road focused, isn't it? So you're not really going to be doing that. Nice reach to the bars. I talked about bar risers. They've cleverly brought the bars up to us, which is really cool. And yeah, I'll save all this stuff to when we get on the bike, but so far, looks all right. And you could probably, look, you could rest your feet up there when you were doing silly miles on a motorway, and if you got tired, you could put your feet up. Or if you were going for a big paddle, you could put your feet up, save them getting wet. Right, I'll just demonstrate getting off. See, foot off, transfer body weight. Bike didn't fall over. Almost like I've been doing this a few times now already. Right, we're going to get out on the bike and I'll let you know what I think of it on the road. Right, join me out on the 650 MT, and already I'm kind of enjoying riding the bike. It's very, very comfortable. Obviously they've made a bike to be accessible for all types of rider. Got a little bit of an over 90 degree bend in the knee. Seat's very soft. Seat's got that ability to slide back and forth, so if you're small in proportion you can go right up close to the bars, but if you're big you can go all the way back. And yeah, it's a nice reach to the bars. For me, I can kind of sit in the middle of the seat. Let's talk about the handling. It is on the firm side for an adventure bike, but then bear in mind it's a road-based adventure bike, so it's got sporty credentials, or it's got handling is one of its priorities. You know, you've got a 17-inch wheel, front and rear, so it's meant to be able to tip into corners. I like the handling. I'm not finding it crashing or jarring over bumps. It is quite compliant suspension. It's probably a little bit more compliant than the shotgun that we rode the other day on this channel. So I got no complaints about it. I don't know the full kind of technical details of the suspension, but for me it seems to be okay. Now let's talk about the engine. It's pretty special, to be honest. I do have a soft spot for the Kawasaki derived 650cc parallel twin. I just think it's very, very accessible for new riders because you've always got that torque. Like, you know, I can be in third and accelerate away, or you could even get away with, let's put it into fifth at 30. See, look at that, it'll chug on torque from 30 in fifth. It's so handy, you know, when you come up to a junction and you might be in the wrong gear. I mean, we do have a gear indicator here, but on the old bikes you didn't have gear indicators, and so it's kind of important that if you got in the wrong gear, rather than stalling, this bike would just chug away and you'd save face, you wouldn't be embarrassed. I did notice a couple of other things as I've been riding the bike. The mirrors are exceptional. Very, very pleased with how much I can see in the mirror. It's almost like a wide angle lens. I can see that van, I can see the buildings on the side of the road, I can see the hedgerows, I can see the whole carriageway, both sides. I should hit the rear brake there just to slow down, to come in here. It's just very nice mirrors. There's not that much vibration. Fellow on an old school bike enjoying himself, and yeah, they're just decent. Probably the best mirror. I know it's a small thing, but they're the best mirrors that I've looked through on a bike in ages. Let's talk about some other stuff rider wise. The controls are kind of nice. They're a bit plain, but CF have improved. They have improved the controls, because on the old 700 series, the CLX bikes, this indicator was a little bit plasticky. You didn't quite feel whether it was on or off. Here it's been upgraded to sort of early Meteor 350 levels. It's plastic but very robust. They've gone for the matte with the grey here, and then obviously this dulled red, which looks more premium than the cheap shiny red. Little things all add up, don't they? You got a horn which is quite close to the indicator. You could probably tap both by mistake, as I did earlier in this ride. Got levers here which are adjustable for the span. Is that the correct term, from here to there? Yeah, which is cool. Like that. At the moment I'm just riding on the standard everything, but yeah, nice to have, isn't it? Got this little thing here which is obviously an afterthought for additional functionality. So you probably had this as your original controls, and they've added this unit here to allow you to go through the, is it infotainment, whatever you call the systems on bikes, and that allows you to go through that. If we press the mode button, you can drop down into eco. I don't know what the difference is. I mean, I could do a little bit of a accelerate. I don't know whether the mode changes much. Changes the screen anyway. Slow down to 30. So you've got the speed, which is the most important thing, revs around the outside, a gear indicator, which is kind of nice to have. When you have a gear indicator and then you get on a bike which doesn't have it, you realise you missed the indicator a little bit. And then you've got obviously your idiot lights down the side, odometer. So I've only done about 10 miles today just to get a feel for it. Are we going this way? Yeah, so indicate, come off. Time, yeah, fuel consumption. Let's just slow down here because it is actually a hot spot for speed cameras along here. Little bits and bobs. It's not amazing, the TFT. It's better than the Vosges TFT. And then hidden down there you got a USB, and then the other thing you notice is the adjustable fork tops, the caps here on top of the gold USD upside down forks. Now the screen, let's talk about the screen. Buffeting is actually seeming to be reduced by this little winglet things here. Now I thought they were a bit weird looking, but it seems they do actually have a function. They do seem to reduce the buffeting you get by putting the turbulence out here. So the turbulence seems to move from sort of here to out to the one side. So whatever it does, it seems to have some kind of aerodynamic effect. So I'm kind of happy about that.
The buffeting in the helmet, I'm getting a little bit, but it's not. I'll speed up here and just see if you can hear it. So I'm coming into the 60. It doesn't feel that bad. I've got no earplugs in. 65 is starting to come in. So what I probably do, I probably raise the screen a little bit. You would have to stop to put that up. But yeah, I've got a little bit of turbulence when you get up to 65. It's going to 6th. Lovely having a 6th gear. And the motor just rumbles on. Yeah, I mean, I know from experience you can crank about 135 out of this engine if you were to really push it, which I'm not going to do on a brand new bike obviously, but oh, hard on the brakes for the 30, and yeah, they're pretty powerful. They're not the sharpest brakes I've ever ridden a bike on, but that doesn't make sense. They're not the sharpest brakes I've ever ridden on, but they are pretty powerful, and you've got 2 discs up front, and they're more than enough match for the power output of the motor. Let's just test my theory whether you can put your feet up here on the crash bars. Oh yeah, you can actually, it's quite comfortable. So they've obviously, someone who's either that's a happy accident or they thought about it. Kind of nice. Oh, get my feet back on.
Okay, so I've taken the CF650 MT out. Overall, I'm kind of happy with the ride. It does everything very well, almost like an all-rounder. You could commute, you could tour, you could do a little bit of B-road blasting. I obviously am biased towards the engine. I had this engine in my old Kawasaki. I just love the engine braking. I love the thump of the parallel twin. Probably get a little bit more out of it if you swap the exhaust out, but as I said, or I don't know if I said, I might edit it out, don't buy the cheap as you like Chinese exhausts because they just melt under sustained high speeds. So a quality exhaust would be kind of nice for this bike. What else to say? Gearbox slots in nicely. Again, very familiar to me. Really liked it. Let's talk about buffeting. These guys that I kind of sneered at a little bit earlier in the video, said you could take them off. They actually deflect a lot of the turbulent wind out. So it's kind of weird. I've never had that before. Like, sort of sends it out here, which is nice. Mirrors, best mirrors I've had on a bike in. Oh, I can't remember when I had mirrors as good as this. You could, it's like a wide angle mirror. You can just see everything. Like, imagine this picture, but you could see what's out to the side of me, another 2 or 3 meters. It's wild. So good job on the mirrors. Stylistically, I was laughing at the white paint job, but then I remembered, ironically, my helmet's actually white, so I put that there. So what was I talking about? I don't know, because that actually does kind of suit, all ties in. I mean, I'm actually quite black, white, this like tan colour. I should probably buy this bike in white and leave it white, shouldn't I? It's all working. The main screen, I didn't adjust it. I had a little bit of turbulence at 65. You could probably adjust the screen. You can't adjust it on the go, so I didn't stop and adjust it, but that would be something to do. Then just see if you, depending on your height, you could probably raise that up and get the turbulence to clear you. I think that would work, or an aftermarket screen. The rider's view, nice. This all nice. TFT, we're kind of spoiled with TFTs on modern bikes. Obviously old school looking modern retros, they still go for analog, but every other bike is going towards TFTs. To me, it's just another TFT. There's 2 modes, Sport, Eco. I don't know whether that changes the engine. Someone can tell me in the comments, one of the 650 MT owners. Does that change the engine output or throttle response, or does it just change the display, makes it a little bit nicer, whatever. But I was in Sport, plenty of pep, as I say, plenty of go with this bike. It's forgiving, but we've also got room to you know, get up and go. Lee Grieveson, let's just mention another subscriber. Now Lee's got a ER6F as his first big bike, which I think fantastic, great bike, Lee. I replied in the comments to you. But it's the kind of bike that's very forgiving, because if you come up to a junction and you're in the wrong gear or whatever, you can just roll on in third. It's actually all right. So the engine is perfect if you're a newer rider or less confident. You don't really want to get a bike that's easy to stall if you're starting out. Nice to have something a bit more forgiving. What else? I talked about the comfort, I talked about this being really nice, and overall I actually quite like the bike, and it's probably not enough to get me to swap from the BSA, because I'm obviously kind of really I'm kind of emotionally involved in the BSA, aren't I? It's like it's more than just a bike, you know. I really like the BSA. So it's probably not enough to get me to move on from that. But if you were looking for a bike to do something and have experiences with, and if you look at the 650 MT owners group, the stuff those guys are doing on their bikes, traveling, recording, like just exploring the world on a bike of this price point, with reliability in the engine, it's a proven design, that kind of thing, it's quite a hard proposition to beat. Like at £4,500, you could buy a 10-year-old Kawasaki, or you could buy a new CF with 79 miles on the odometer. It's nuts. It really is nuts. So in summary, this bike is an absolute fantastic all-rounder. I think it does everything quite well, if you know what I mean. Handling's nice, power, nice torquey engine, gearbox feels nice, nice ergos, comfortable, nice reach, a little bit of a premium feel with the TFT and so on and so forth. Suspension is adjustable, which is kind of nice on a bike that costs £4,500. We'll wait for Bob to comment, actually, Bob from Bali, because he actually bought the 700 MT, which is basically this bike but with a new engine, so same ergo, suspension, same seating position and everything. Let's let Bob comment, because he's an actual owner. He'll probably have some insight that I don't have. But as far as taking it out on a ride, I found it just perfectly fine. I mean, it's a great tool for a job. It's a bike that's going to buy you experiences, and I think that's something that's worth spending your money on. So I'll say to the prospective owner of this bike, because obviously this bike at Midwest is going to sell, it's £4,500, it's not going to hang about, I will say I enjoyed the time with it, and I wish you well in your ownership of this fantastic motorcycle. So good luck. Alright guys, thanks a lot, and I'll catch you in the next one.